Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Leaked Lunch, the fly-on-the-wall podcast that brings you to the dining table with me, Isabella Kaminska. In this edition, I sit down with former rates trader and Libor submitter Tom Hayes, a man who never expected to become the central figure blamed for the global financial crisis of 2008.
One day I was pulled off the desk at 11 a.m. and I walked into a room of the great and the good from the senior managers in the city, including the CEO, Brian McCaffey, who was not only aware of what I was doing, was complicit in it. And he turned around and told me I was losing my job. And I was
just like that.
Yeah, for libel stuff. And I couldn't believe it. I just looked at him and I said, well, it's ironic you're firing me given you're involved in this. When I told people initially that I'd been fired over libel, no one believed me.
Oh, right.
I'd been having a tough year at City that year. I was down about 25 million because I'd had the Greek crisis in May 2010 had hit my P&L quite badly. And everyone thought I'd lost my job because I'd lost money. I had one letter from the FCA,
Right.
saying that they may like to speak to me in the future.
And that's
which was also quite confusing because the FCA were not, wasn't regulated by them. I was working in Japan, I was regulated by the Japanese. Had I committed a regulatory or civil violation, the Japanese would have done something about it, but they didn't do anything about it. I mean, the Japanese response to this was, I think, they gave UBS a 1 week ban from speaking to clients. There was no monetary fine or anything. I mean, they recognised, much like the rest of the world's courts recognised, that it wasn't regulated and there were no rules. It was hammering.
Oh, it's a hammer.
It was a hammering.
So tell us what happened.
Well, I mean, originally I just thought, someone's doing some building work somewhere, and I just sort of woke up and Sarah said to me, she said, someone's outside, Tom, someone's at the door. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I walked down the stairs in just my boxer shorts, and I opened the door and and it's quite cold outside, it was December, and as all these police officers start rushing in, where's your phone, this, that and the other, and they're all wearing stab vests, and then he said, right.
Stab vests?
Yeah. And the guy coming through the door goes to me, I'm arresting you on conspiracy to fraud, blah, blah, blah. Libor. And I said, you mean libel? And he said, yeah, whatever. And I just thought, this is mad. I'm being arrested by someone who doesn't even know the name of the thing that I'm being arrested for. Place. I was in a very, very dark place. And it was really hard for me. And as the interviews went on, and I was being shown disclosure during that interview process, I was having to make these false confessions and lie about my culpability in order to be charged in the UK and avoid extradition. But this evidence I was seeing corroborated what I'd said and what I thought about my managers and what actually happened in the real case. And but I didn't really have any agency over any of it until I'd been charged in the UK. So when I was charged, I was getting more and more irate and angry, although I was sort of slightly less, mentally ill. And then my ex-wife said to me, we were in the kitchen, and she said, Tom, you've got to do something about this anger. You've either got to accept what's happening to you, or you've got to plead not guilty and fight it. She said, because I can't live with you when you're this angry. We will end up getting divorced. And so then that's when I went and sought a second opinion, and I went to meet Charles Sherrill QC outside the Old Bailey, and I brought a few documents with me, and I showed him the documents, and he looked at it and said, Tom, you shouldn't be pleading guilty to this. Some of the officers wanted retirement advice about and equity release advice and things like that. So it was a bit sort of Andy Dufresne-esque in that respect. The prisoners basically just wanted to know how to launder money. But also they didn't. So
is it the case that they thought you had made loads of money and stashed it?
Oh, they did, yeah. I mean, the rumour was I'd stolen 1 cent from every bank account in the world. You find out who your real friends are. I mean, it's weird though, because you going through prison and I did a long sentence. It wasn't a short sentence. It was 5.5 years of my life.